So hello and welcome to another video from sickmaths.co.uk, where you can find lots of free maths videos for GCSE and A-level. Please go to it rather than going to my YouTube user, because it's a lot more organised on the Sick Maths website. It's organised by different syllabuses, so it's easy to find what you want. So anyway, this video is about probability and strategic sampling. Okay, two slightly different topics. The probability stuff is really basic. Let me quickly go through that. Here's your bag of marbles, and I want the probability of picking a red marble. So I've got 3 red marbles, 2 yellow marbles, and a black marble. So the chance of picking a red marble is 3 out of a total of 6. So I write 3 sixths. Now notice, if I had just all red marbles, so 6 red marbles, I would have had 6 out of 6 chance, i.e. 1. That 6 out of 6 is equivalent to 1. So the point I'm making there is the maximum probability you can get is 1, and of course the minimum probability you can get is 0. So that's just an interesting point to note. So anyway, so the probability of picking a red is 3 out of 6, which is equivalent to a half if you want. You're allowed to simplify the fraction if you want. So there's half a chance of picking a red. And the probability of picking a black, well, there's only one black, so there's 1 out of a total of 6, so 1 out of 6 chance of picking up black. So that's all there is really about probability. Probability is a really simple idea. There are more complicated things you can do when you come to tree diagrams, but that's another video. Now, probability space diagram doesn't really come up because it's so silly, but basically, it's the space of all the things that could happen. Okay, in this space here are all the different things that can happen when you toss 2 coins in terms of the heads and tails. For example, my first toss could be head or a tail, and my second toss could be head or a tail. Okay, and when wherever the 2 bits meet, so the head meets the head in this box over here, so you've got heads and heads. This one says tails and heads, and heads and tails, and tails and tails. So these are the 4 different things that could, or the 4 different combination of heads and tails that you can get between 2 tosses of the coin. Now, so that's it, probability space diagram. If you didn't have heads and tails, if you had something like I've got a bag of marbles with certain colours, so green, red, and blue or something here, and a different bag of marbles there, and then between them you could see all the possibilities or combinations of marbles or colours of marbles you can get. So that's probability space diagram covered. Now, strategic sampling, there are different types of sampling, but this is the one that's used for GCSE maths. If you go to GCSE statistics, you might have to try some other, know about other types of sampling, but this is the one that's really used in GCSE maths. And what is strategic sampling? Sampling is just basically taking a small group of people. In this case, I've got my 60 students. Okay, from a larger group, which is 150 students. Okay, but the small group is supposed to represent in my my statistics, my information. Supposed to represent the larger group, basically, because you can't always do a survey of everybody. So what we often do is take a survey of a smaller group of people, okay, and but we try to make that smaller group of people representative of the larger group. Okay, so in this case I've got 100 boys and 50 girls, so that means there's twice the number of boys as there are girls in this school. So the same should be true for my sample of 60 students. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I've got 60 out of 150. That's 100 plus 50 is 150 students. Okay, that is a fraction of the students I have in my sample. Okay, now I could simplify that fraction if you want. 60 out of 150 is just 2/5. Okay, so I've got 2/5 of the school in my sample. Okay, now if I want to know the number of boys and the number of girls that should be in my sample, it's very easy. I've got the number of boys here and the number of girls there, and if I have 2/5 of the number of boys and 2/5 of the number of girls together, I'll have the right amount of boys and girls in my sample. Okay, so I take to work out 60 out of 150 of my 100, I just times them together. So 60 over 150 times 100, okay, equals 40. So there should be 40 boys in my sample, and 60 over 150 times 50 gives me 20, so there should be 20 girls in my sample. And as you can see, there are twice as many boys as there are girls in my sample, and I've got 40 plus 20, together that makes 60. Now sometimes you don't get quite a nice number as 40 and 60, sometimes you get decimal numbers, so if you have decimal numbers, just round up or round down, make sure it adds up to the number of people that there should be in the sample, because if they say there should be 60 people in the sample, you can't say, oh, I feel like having 61. Okay, you have to stick to the rules. So that's really it for this video.